Welcome to another episode of It Takes a Viking special back to school edition. My name is Mike Mitchell, Director of Engagement in the Office of Advancement here at Salem State. Very excited to welcome to the show the Dean of the School of Graduate Studies, Dean Stephanie Bellar. Dean, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Welcome to the show. We're excited to share your story, what's going on in the School of Graduate Studies, and a little bit more as we get back into these back to school episodes of our podcast today. So the first question I always like to ask folks is, what is your story? How did you end up coming to Salem State, and why did you want to be dean here?
I came to Salem State. I had the good fortune of participating in the Women in Higher Education Management program sponsored at Wellesley College, and I attended the limited residential component. So I was in the greater Boston area 5 times that year. Got to see all the seasons, got to see the beauty of the area. And I sort of wrote on my heart, if I ever have an opportunity to work in the Northeast, I'm going to raise my hand. And the opportunity presented itself, and I could see that Salem State was the type of institution that I felt I could really make a home. The commitment to social justice and the unabashed pride that Salem State takes in its value commitment just made obvious to me that was a place that I wanted to be a part of.
So for those that may be watching, listening along, a touch of an accent in your voice, where do you join us from?
I have wandered throughout the Southeast.
Okay.
So I was primarily at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. That's where I did the bulk of my academic career and entered graduate education. Then I moved to Central Arkansas at the University of Central Arkansas, and it was from there that I came to Salem State.
It's back to school time. So
Right.
Before we get into kind of the meat of our conversation today, I wonder, as you think back on your either undergraduate or graduate experiences in academics and learning, do you have a favorite class that stuck with you as a student throughout your time?
I'm not sure that there was a favorite class as much as there were favorite professors.
Okay.
I had the good fortune of attending a state regional institution. At that time, they were small. They have grown significantly. But similar to Salem State, devoted faculty who knew us well. And I just and I still think about those people, and I think I wanted to be that professor. And even the admins, they knew our names, they knew our circumstances. And it was small enough that I really developed that cadre of friends that I continue to have. And it just really wasn't, it was the whole vibe of the institution, and everything that I was learning was interesting and exciting to me.
So a special place in your heart for the regional publics. So
Indeed. They are the backbone of higher education in America.
Love it. So you are certainly feeling right at home here at Salem State.
Right.
As you think about your role day to day here in the graduate school, talk a little bit about what some of the current needs are of the students, but also the faculty, and you're also managing an entire school here at the college. So what does the day-to-day kind of look like for you as the dean of the school?
I think part of the day-to-day needs that I see from our students is flexibility. Graduate students at a master's large institution tend to be working adults who also have families. And so they have full-time jobs and they have families, and they are trying to satisfy their intellectual curiosity and also credential themselves for advances in their career. And so they need a lot of flexibility. I think that we are striving to serve all of those audiences. So many of our programs are wholly online or primarily online, so that students need to be on campus maybe once a month as opposed to once a week. So that's really helpful. Many of our online classes are asynchronous in that, or asynchronous and then have some limited face-to-face meetings, either via technology or on campus. And so I think we're very mindful that our students are juggling so many balls in the air. And I think that we have developed sound curriculum that allows people to learn in an environment that's supportive. But if you need to take care of your family, you can do that. I remember when I was teaching an online class, and in many ways, you really do get to know your students in a different dimensions because you can see their patterns of behavior when they join the class, when they're doing homework and submitting homework, just as they can see the professors and how often professors are online and engaging and interacting with them through discussion threads and the like. So I would say that for people who maybe are afraid of an online program or an online class, it does take structure and it takes a lot of discipline. Our students have those skills because of all the other things that they are doing. They know how to calendar themselves, and it's doable.
Can you touched on something interesting there that I don't think kind of the average person might consider, but you mentioned that our graduate students here primarily working full-time jobs, perhaps parents or taking care of a family, something like that. Regional publics, we know, play a pretty critical role in providing for the workforce of the area that they serve, right? And so how does something like maybe a more traditional kind of private graduate school experience versus the regional publics, how do the students kind of differ if you go from one to the other, do you think?
I taught 1 year at a private, so I'm not exactly sure how much I want to generalize from that experience. But from my colleagues who are teaching in private institutions, their students are focused on being in the classroom, really immersing themselves full time in the classroom. And that's a rich experience, and I'm not discarding that in any way. However, as when I was a student at a regional and as a professor at a regional, I really liked having the practitioners in my classrooms because we could then talk about what the academic literature was saying about best practices, how they were using it in their working environments. And so I thought and still contend that having people who bring their applied experience really do bring a body of wisdom to the classroom discussion and dynamic.
So having that, so often you may see an undergraduate student say, I have to run to my master's degree right away. But it's okay probably to take a little bit of time, build a body of work that when you get into that classroom or learning setting that you have some comparative knowledge from what you've experienced already that you might be able to help impart on another student.
Indeed. That is, there are some graduate programs, MBA programs come to mind that require 3 to 5 years of work experience before you can be admitted. Typically, those are executive MBA programs, but yes, bringing a body of application to your experience as a graduate student is a valuable asset.
Talking about the graduate school specifically, but the larger higher ed landscape, you mentioned earlier that Salem State's commitment to social justice was a big piece of what brought you here. And part of social justice is understanding access and equity for folks. The landscape of higher ed is different today than it was 10 years ago. So how does in the national conversation in terms of making sure that higher ed is accessible and equitable for everybody, how do you see the graduate school playing a role in making progress on that front, ensuring access and equity for students?
I'm so glad you asked that question because we have worked very hard for 3 years to write admission standards that first and foremost, are mindful of the fact that graduate education, admission into a graduate school, is competitive. It is, unlike many institutions, it's not an open standard. Anybody will be admitted. It is competitive, it is selective. What we've done is be very thoughtful and data based to think about different pathways. And so, for a traditional pathway, we have a minimum GPA. But we do understand that there are times when students may have started college, been young, maybe didn't manage their time all that well, and their GPA is depressed and it's a math problem. So those students can be admitted conditionally. They have to demonstrate that they are capable. We see the promise, we see the potential in that student, but we do have this concern about maybe some foundational knowledge. For students who are coming back, those who maybe are re-careering or changing careers, we have a multiple pathways again. So if you were a good student, if you were a student and you've met that GPA standard, even if you're coming back, 15 years later, we still rest on that GPA. But let's say again that you stepped off a little bit in your youth and the GPA doesn't meet that standard. If you've been out for 5 years, we have a portfolio process. And the portfolio is distinct for every discipline, every program that we have. And it's appropriate for every program that we have. So you could be stellar in your work, and now you can use that as a pathway in. And we don't hold that GPA over you. No blaming, no shaming. We really want to see the talent that the student brings to us at that time of application.
I can say with certainty that I was one of those students that applied to college very young, didn't necessarily take it as seriously. So work hard, study hard, students.
Right. And that happens to a lot of people. They're just, sometimes when you were a good student in high school, you maybe did not learn the time management or the study skills that you need to be equally as strong at the university. And we see this happen. It is known in our industry that sometimes people who really are well prepared to be here, but haven't learned some time management skills. But the math follows them forever. And we did not want that to be a barrier for the rest of your life.
I think for me, it was the whole idea that there was no more parent walking by my bedroom door at 7 a.m. going, get up, get out of bed. You have to get to school. And that was reflected in my first year's grades, let me tell you.
It happens.
As you think about, we've been talking about the landscape and how sort of the conventional graduate student, there may not be one model that they fit into. But getting back to the conversation about the kind of landscape that higher ed exists in right now versus 10 years ago versus 10 years in the future, what do you think higher education looks like or is going to look like?
I'm concerned that higher education may separate us as a society. I think that with seeing a rush towards decision making without really thinking about what is the value of a college education, what distinguishes the people who have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, or even, another professional degree. What distinguishes them? And I am concerned that the sense now that expertise doesn't matter, or you can find anything you need to know off of the internet, is deeply troubling for me. I was using AI to asked some questions about some data sets. And I kept looking at the answer thinking, that's just not right. And then I realized I needed to ask it better questions. And once I refined my questions, I was getting the information that I knew was more closely accurate to the information that I needed. But I brought to that the whole ability to look at that and say, that's not right. And so I think that we have to understand, yes, technology is moving so quickly, but it's been moving quickly. You know, almost all my life, technology has been moving quickly. You still have to have a body of knowledge that you know so that you can look at it and assess. And I'm concerned that we don't respect that anymore. I'm concerned that people are seeing and if that spreads and people are less willing to support higher education through their tax dollars, then what we'll see is a separation by ability to pay and the rest of us.
And it lends itself to that thought process of you having student A, student B, both of whom are equally qualified academically or intellectually. The old expression of talent being equally distributed, but opportunity is not.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you were to, as we think about the future of higher ed and the people that are watching at home that have been hemming and hawing about maybe they want a graduate degree, mm-hmm. You're in front of a prospective student. What's one piece of advice you would give them to consider starting?
To be confident, to understand that at a place like Salem State and other regional institutions, but here I know I can stand on this, that the faculty want to see all of our students be successful. In fact, at the orientation that we just had on Saturday, I shared with the students who came that I stumbled in my master's program and had to go to a professor and say, I really need help here. And you get that. You get that sense of wanting the students to be successful. And I think that the difference is, and I don't want to disparage R1s or PhD granting institutions, but my observation is that if you want a master's degree, and unless you're in a place that has like a sense of a professional master's degree, master students are discounted somewhat in a PhD institution. So I would say whether you come to Salem State or a different regional, if the degree that you want is a master's degree, I would say go to a regional institution. I think that is the place where you get the best education. So the other thing is, it seems like it's insurmountable, particularly when you are the parent of young children or teenagers who still need somebody to drive them around, when you have a job that's ever demanding, and it is hard. And I would never try to suggest that it is not hard, but students can do it. It is possible to do it here. As I said, I think that as we grow as an institution, we are so much more flexible in our course delivery and understanding what our students need. And our students get a lot of support, whether it's from their faculty, their program, the staff here in the School of Graduate Studies, but also the staff out of Student Affairs. Our Wellness Center is very supportive of our students. So, we have our librarians are happy to work with our students and help them with their research endeavor. This is the one place that I've been where the Writing Center explicitly has a commitment to graduate writing, and they use graduate student peer tutors, and they host specific sessions for writing at the graduate level and the different types of citation styles, whether it's MLA or APA. So I think that Salem State as an institution is so supportive and so student focused. And all of those organizations that I've just named, or all of those partners, support our graduate students as well. We are not, strangers in a strange land. Not here.
We'll put a link with the post when we share this on social media where you can go visit the graduate school's website and learn about all the great programs that we offer. But just off the top of your head, what are you seeing a lot of interest in terms of the graduate school programs these days?
Well, we have several different buckets. So we have our applied programs. Our Master's in Social Work continues to be our single largest program. And now that they have been approved for an online cohort, that's growing by leaps and bounds. And it's like, woo! So the Master's in Social Work, very applied, serving the region and the greater region. And with that online program, that will be true as well, being able to reach beyond the North Shore specifically. Of the McEwen School of Education is the single largest graduate division or college. And they've done just outstanding work with partnering with some of the gateway communities. They have very specific programs related to helping people who are moving through their teaching credentials and the like. So there's always a big growth point there. And the certificate for advanced graduate studies, principal training, and the like, which is embedded in MSOE, is a huge program and growing. All of our helping programs are growing. The master's degree in counseling is a fast growing program, but we have two other psychology degrees that are really important. One is an accredited behavioral analysis program, which is really, I think, so relevant when we talk about helping students and adults who learn differently. And then the IO Psych, which is organizational development. So, and then we've got nursing and occupational therapy and athletic training. So between social work, nursing, occupational therapy, athletic training, we've got a lot of those, sort of human service helping programs. We have other applied programs, business administration. They've gone through huge curriculum review to make the program more efficient for students, a master's degree in accounting. We have an online program in criminal justice. Our geographic information systems program. I was just talking to their program coordinator. They do some of the most fascinating work. It's both technical, so the work that they're doing with drones, but also so much civic engagement and how they use their mapping skills to help people understand needs. In fact, I'm working on a separate project, and I've used students and recent alumni from that program because they have technical skills I don't have, but I need. So they're very helpful there. We have traditional programs that do prepare students, and I have to really brag on the types of PhD programs that accept master's students from Salem State. We compete with the best. And our students can, if they're looking to do PhD work at an elite institution, a master's degree here is helpful in that direction. So I think we just cover it all. We've got research-focused programs, um, applied programs, and those that really serve the community.
Just tied it up with a little bow on it right there. So go ahead and check out the graduate school's website on salemstate.edu. We'll be putting the link on the video here, but also in the text of the post. Dean Bellar, I want to thank you so much for your time. I know back to school is always crazy.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to brag on my colleagues and the students here. They are both elements, top drawer.
Dr. Stephanie Bellar, Dean of the School of Graduate Studies here at Salem State. My name is Mike Mitchell, Director of Engagement in the Office of Advancement. And until next time, thanks for watching. It Takes a Viking.